The bar was crowded with aliens from a dozen different worlds. Smoke from strange substances filled the air, and the smell was terrible. In the darkest corner sat Krath, his massive reptilian body taking up space meant for 3 normal beings. His scales were covered in scars, each one telling a story of battles won. Weapons hung from his belt, and dried blood still stained his armor from his last job. Krath was drinking something that would kill most species. He was the most feared mercenary in 3 sectors of space. Governments hired him to end wars. Crime lords paid him to start them. In 50 years, he had never lost a fight. Other mercenaries whispered his name with respect and fear. A young Velkari warrior, barely past his first molting, walked up to Krath's table. The youth's scales were still bright green, not yet dulled by combat. He carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never truly faced death. "Great Krath," the young warrior said, "I seek your wisdom. I have been offered a contract. Good money, easy work." Krath didn't look up from his drink. "Then take it and leave me alone. The contract is to raid human colonies in the frontier. 3 targets. Mining stations with minimal defenses. The employer says humans are soft. They will pay quickly to avoid trouble." The bar went quiet. Aliens stopped their conversations. Everyone wanted to hear what Krath would say. Krath slowly lifted his massive head, his yellow eyes fixed on the young warrior. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stones. "Never make humans furious." The young Velkari laughed. "The humans? They are diplomats, traitors, scientists. They have been in the galaxy for 70 years and have fought no wars. They are the weakest species in the Council." Krath stood up. His full height was terrifying. He towered over everyone in the bar. "I have killed warriors from every species in this galaxy. I have burned cities and toppled kingdoms. I have made generals weep and kings beg. But I tell you now, with all my experience, with all my victories, never make humans furious." "You are old and scared," the young warrior said, trying to sound brave. Krath's hand moved faster than the eye could follow. He grabbed the youth by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "I am old because I am smart. I am scared because I have seen what you have not. Take any contract you wish, fight any species you desire, but leave the humans alone, especially their innocence." He dropped the young warrior, who scrambled away and fled the bar. Krath sat back down and returned to his drink. The other patrons slowly resumed their conversations, but they kept glancing at the legendary mercenary with new curiosity. On the other side of the station, in the cleaner diplomatic section, Captain Tae-Yoon walked through the corridors with his crew. He was a human of average height, with kind eyes and an easy smile. His uniform was clean and decorated with medals for scientific achievement and peaceful exploration. Behind him walked his tactical officer, Wu Day, and 3 other crew members. They passed groups of aliens who barely noticed them. Humans were common now on council stations. They were known for being friendly, helpful, and always ready to trade or share information. The galaxy saw them as one of the more pleasant species to deal with. "Captain," Wu Day said quietly, "the Vrex Consortium has increased their presence in this sector. Intelligence reports they are planning something." Tae-Yoon nodded. "We are here for diplomacy, not conflict. If they cause trouble, the Council will handle it." In a research lab on the station, Dr. Hannah Beck was studying alien plant samples. She was a xenobiologist, one of hundreds of human scientists working throughout the galaxy. Her research had helped feed millions on struggling colony worlds. She was respected by her alien colleagues. An alarm chimed. She looked at her communication device and frowned. A message from Earth's defense network. It was marked routine, but the content made her pause. Vrex Consortium ships had been spotted near human mining colonies. The message asked all human personnel to be alert. Hannah filed the message away and returned to her work. She had been in space for 10 years and never seen real violence. The galaxy was peaceful, especially for humans who went out of their way to avoid conflict. That evening, the council held a reception. Diplomats from every species mingled and discussed trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation. Captain Tai Yun represented Earth's Defense Force, though the name was somewhat misleading. The fleet was mostly used for exploration and helping with emergencies. Krath attended as well, standing in the shadows. He was there as an observer, hired by a small government to assess the political situation. He watched the humans carefully. They smiled, they laughed, they made friends easily. They seemed genuinely happy to be part of the galactic community. A large alien merchant approached Tai Yun, speaking loudly. "Captain, I hear your people want to expand into the Outer Rim territories. Many of us already have claims there." Tai Yun smiled politely. "We believe there is room for everyone. We are happy to share space and resources." "Your species is very generous," the merchant said, though his tone suggested he meant naive. Across the room, a Vrex commander named Mordax watched the humans with cold calculation. The Vrex were a cruel species who built their wealth on raiding weaker civilizations. They saw the galaxy as prey, and humans looked like easy targets. Mordax approached Dr. Hannah Beck at the refreshment table. "Doctor, your people have established many colonies in the frontier. That is brave for such a gentle species." Hannah met his gaze calmly. "We go where we are needed. Science has no borders." "Indeed. Though I wonder if your colonies are properly defended. The frontier can be dangerous. We rely on the Council's protection and our own peaceful intentions." Mordax smiled, showing too many teeth. "How admirable. I hope your faith is not misplaced." He walked away, leaving Hannah with an uncomfortable feeling. She saw Captain Tai Yun across the room and caught his eye. He excused himself from his conversation and joined her. "Something wrong?" he asked quietly. "Just a feeling. The Vrex are planning something." Tai Yun's expression didn't change, but his eyes hardened slightly. "We cannot act on feelings. We need proof. Until then, we follow protocols." From the shadows, Krath watched the exchange. He had excellent hearing, better than most species realized. He heard the concern in the humans' voices. He saw how they maintained their calm, peaceful demeanor even when threatened. It reminded him of something he had seen years ago, a memory he tried to forget. The reception ended peacefully. Humans returned to their ships and quarters. Aliens gossiped about politics and trade. And somewhere in the dark spaces between stars, Rex warships prepared to move. Krath returned to his ship alone. He poured himself another drink and stared at the holographic display of the sector. Human colonies were marked in blue, scattered across the frontier like innocent flowers in a field. "Fools," he muttered, though he wasn't sure if he meant the humans for being so trusting, or the Rex for not understanding what they were about to provoke. He had tried to warn them. He always tried to warn them, but nobody ever listened to warnings about humans. They looked too soft, too kind, too weak. The galaxy had forgotten that Earth's history was written in blood long before humans reached the stars. Krath remembered, and the memory kept him awake at night. The attack came without warning. 3 human colonies were hit at the same time, planned with military precision. New Busan was struck first. The mining colony had 5,000 people, mostly families who had come to build a new life in the frontier. The Vrex ships appeared in orbit and started firing immediately. The colony's shields lasted 8 minutes. Then the bombardment began. Buildings exploded. The residential sector where children slept was destroyed completely. When the Vrex soldiers landed, they killed anyone they found. No mercy. No prisoners, just slaughter. Hope Station was next. This was a trading post where humans met with alien merchants. The station tried to send a distress signal, but the Vrex jammed all communications. They boarded the station and executed people in the streets. They made sure to broadcast footage of humans begging for their lives before they died. Terra Verde, the agricultural world, suffered the worst. This planet grew food for a dozen systems. Peaceful farmers and their families lived in small towns scattered across the continents. The Vrex burned the fields and destroyed the settlements. They killed the livestock and poisoned the water supplies. Over 3,000 humans died that day. The news reached the council station within hours. Emergency sessions were called. Representatives from every species gathered to discuss the situation. Captain Tae-Yoon stood in the observation deck of his ship, watching the reports come in. His hands gripped the railing so hard his knuckles turned white. "Sir," Woo-dae said quietly, "we have confirmation. My sister was on New Busan. She is among the dead." Tae-Yoon closed his eyes for a moment. "I am sorry, Woo-dae." "What are your orders, Captain?" "We wait for the council to respond. We follow proper channels." Dr. Hannebeck arrived at the council chambers as the session began. She sat in the human section, watching as species after species offered their sympathy. The words were nice, but empty. "Tragic situation," they said. "Terrible loss of life. Our thoughts are with the victims." But no one offered action. No one suggested sending help or punishing the Vrex. The council preferred to avoid conflict. They suggested mediation. Perhaps the humans had done something to provoke the attacks? Maybe reparations could be negotiated? An old alien diplomat from the Trell species spoke with a condescending tone. "The humans are new to the galaxy. Perhaps they expanded too quickly into territories others claimed. The Virex Consortium has legitimate business interests in those sectors." Hana felt anger rising in her chest, but kept her face calm. This was how the galaxy worked. The strong took what they wanted, and the weak were told to accept it. The council doors opened, and Mordax walked in, surrounded by his guards. The Vrex commander looked proud, almost amused. He took his seat without shame or apology. "The council recognizes Mordax of the Vrex Consortium," the council leader announced. Mordax stood, his voice booming across the chamber. "The Vrex Consortium regrets the unfortunate incidents in the frontier. However, human settlements were encroaching on territory we claimed decades ago. We offered to negotiate, but the humans ignored our warnings. We were forced to act." It was a lie. The humans had proper claims to all 3 colonies, registered with the council. But Mordax knew the council would not check the records too carefully. They wanted this problem to go away quietly. "The Vrex Consortium is willing to discuss compensation," Mordax continued. "We can offer generous terms if the humans agree to withdraw from our territories." The chamber filled with murmurs of approval. This seemed reasonable to many species. A diplomatic solution. Everyone could save face. Then Krath stood up. The legendary mercenary had no official position in the council, but his reputation gave him authority. When he spoke, beings listened. "I have fought in wars across 50 systems," Krath began, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "I have seen every type of warrior this galaxy has produced. I have battled in honor duels and genocidal campaigns. I have never fled a battlefield. I fear nothing in this galaxy." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Except humans when they are furious." The chamber erupted in laughter. Mordax laughed loudest of all. "The great Krath fears the diplomats, the merchants who smile and trade?" "You have killed their innocence," Krath said, his voice hard. "You have murdered their children. You broadcast their suffering. You have done the one thing that should never be done." "And what will they do?" Mordax mocked. "File a complaint? Ask for mediation? The humans are weak. They have no warrior culture. They have been in the galaxy for 70 years and never fought a single war." Krath pointed at Mordax with one clawed finger. "They have fought no wars because they chose not to. There is a difference between choosing peace and being weak. You are too stupid to understand that difference. Stop now, apologize, offer real reparations, and pray they show mercy. Why should I fear merchants and scientists? Because I have seen what they become when you make them furious. 10 years ago, I witnessed it. I worked with pirates who made a mistake. They destroyed a human transport ship carrying children. I watched what happened next. It changed me. I have nightmares about it still. The laughter died down slightly. Krath's tone was too serious, too genuinely frightened. The humans will destroy you, Krath said. Not quickly, not honorably. They will hunt you down systematically. They will show you what they are capable of. And the galaxy will watch and remember why Earth's history is written in blood. Mordax smiled cruelly. The old warrior has gone soft. The Vrex Consortium fears no one, especially not the weakest species in the Council. The session ended with the Council recommending mediation. The Vrex were asked to pause further actions. The humans were advised to consider compensation and territorial adjustments. It was a diplomatic disaster for humanity. Hana left the chambers and immediately contacted Captain Tae Yoon. The Council has abandoned us. They are siding with the Vrex. There was a long silence on the communication line. Then Tae Yoon spoke, his voice unnaturally calm. Thank you for the information, Doctor. Please advise all human personnel to evacuate the Council station within 12 hours. All of them. Diplomats, scientists, traders, everyone. Sir, if we withdraw our people, the Council will see it as weakness. They already see us as weak. That assessment is about to be corrected. The communication ended. Hana stared at the device in her hand. She had known Tae Yoon for 5 years. She had never heard that tone in his voice before. It was the sound of something cold and ancient waking up. Across the station, human personnel began quietly packing. They offered no explanations to their alien colleagues. They simply said their goodbyes and left. Within hours, every human on the Council station was gone. The galaxy noticed but misunderstood. They thought the humans were running away, accepting defeat. Mordax celebrated his victory, planning his next attacks. Only Krath understood. He watched the human ships leave and felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen this before. The calm before the storm, the quiet before the fury. On board the Endeavor, Captain Tae Yoon stood in his private quarters. He looked at a photograph of his sister, Jin Mira. She had been a doctor on the medical station the Vrex destroyed in their 4th attack, launched just hours ago. They had executed her on live broadcast along with other medical personnel who tried to surrender. Tae Yoon carefully put the photograph in his pocket. He walked to the bridge where Wu Dai and his officers waited. "Sir?" Wu Dai asked. Tae Yoon's face was expressionless. His voice was steady, but his eyes held something terrible. "Activate Protocol Hellstorm," he said quietly. "Send the authorization codes to all human vessels. Recall all military personnel. Activate every reserve unit. Bring the fleet out of standby. Sir, Protocol Hellstorm requires authorization from... I have the authorization. Earth Command has given full discretion to frontier commanders. This is no longer a diplomatic matter." Wu Dai nodded slowly. He had trained for this scenario but never believed it would happen. He began entering commands into his console. Throughout human space, ships received the signal. Civilian vessels that were actually warships in disguise activated their weapon systems. Research stations revealed hidden defensive platforms. Military installations that officially did not exist came online. Earth's defense force was a lie, a pleasant fiction the humans had maintained for 70 years. The truth was much darker. Humanity had never stopped being warriors. They had simply hidden their weapons and pretended to be something else. Krath received a message on his private channel. It was from an old contact, a human intelligence officer he had worked with years ago. The message was short. "You tried to warn them. Thank you. Get somewhere safe. The storm is coming. Krath immediately booked passage off the council station. As his ship pulled away, he looked back at the diplomatic hub, where representatives still debated and discussed. They had no idea what was coming. Mordax was planning his victory celebration when the first reports arrived. Human ships were moving, many ships, warships that should not exist, moving with purpose and speed toward Vrex territories. He dismissed the reports. How could merchants and scientists threaten the mighty Vrex consortium? It was probably just a show of force, meant to impress the council before the humans accepted their defeat. He would learn his mistake soon enough. The galaxy would learn it with him. The age of humans being patient and peaceful was ending. What came next would be remembered for generations. In his quarters, Captain Tae-Yoon sat alone in the dark. He was not angry. Anger was hot and quick and careless. What he felt was something colder, more focused, more dangerous. They wanted to see what humans could do? Very well. Let the lesson begin. The first strike came at dawn on the Vrex colony of Rexar 7. The planet held no civilians, only military installations and weapon factories. It was one of the Vrex consortium's main supply centers. The attack was so fast that defense systems barely registered it. Human ships appeared from nowhere, their weapons already firing. The orbital platforms exploded before they could respond. Shields that were supposed to withstand days of bombardment lasted minutes. On the ground, Vrex soldiers scrambled to defensive positions. They expected to see landing craft, ground troops, a proper invasion. Instead, they saw precision strikes from orbit. Every command center, every ammunition depot, every communication array was destroyed in seconds. The humans did not waste a single shot. When the attack ended, the planet's military capability was gone. The humans did not occupy the planet. They did not land troops. They simply eliminated the target and moved on. The entire operation took 17 minutes. The galaxy watched in shock. These were not the actions of merchants and scientists. These were professional military operations executed with frightening efficiency. Lieutenant Hyun Kang led a special operations team into a Vrex prison facility where hostages from Hope Station were being held. His team of 12 humans moved through the facility like ghosts. They used tactics that confused the Vrex guards, appearing and disappearing, striking from unexpected angles. The Vrex relied on strength and direct combat. They were bigger and stronger than humans, with natural armor and powerful weapons. They expected fights to be straightforward clashes of force, but the humans fought differently. They used deception, traps, and coordination. They attacked weak points, retreated when pressed, and regrouped instantly. They seemed to know exactly where the guards would be before the guards knew themselves. Hyun Kang's team rescued 43 hostages and lost only one soldier in the process. They extracted within the hour, leaving the prison facility in chaos. The Vrex commander of that facility could not explain what happened. The humans had been outnumbered 5-1. Yet they won decisively. Captain Tae-Yoon stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, watching tactical displays. His ship, which had always been introduced as a science vessel, now revealed its true nature. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hull. Shield generators that were supposedly for protection against solar radiation proved capable of withstanding military-grade weapons. The engine that seemed adequate for exploration could outrun most warships in the galaxy. Target the supply depot at Vrex Station Gamma, Tae-Yoon ordered. His voice was calm, almost gentle. It made his orders more terrifying. Sir, they are requesting to surrender, Wu Dai reported. Denied. We do not accept surrenders yet. They broadcast the execution of our people who tried to surrender. They will learn what that feels like. The Endeavor's weapons opened fire. The station's shields held for a few seconds, then collapsed. The destruction was total and precise. When it was over, nothing remained but debris. The galaxy's news networks were broadcasting everything. Species across the stars watched as humanity unleashed capabilities nobody knew existed. The Council held emergency meetings every few hours, each one more frantic than the last. Ambassador Na Young, humanity's representative, attended one such meeting. She stood before the Council with a cold expression that was frightening on her normally friendly face. "For 70 years," she began, "we have been your friends. We shared our knowledge freely. We helped rebuild worlds damaged by war. We asked for little and gave much. You wondered why we had no warriors, no warships, no weapons. You thought it was because we were weak." She paused, letting the words settle. "We are not weak. We have never been weak. We chose peace. We chose cooperation. We chose to show you the best of what humanity can be. You mistook that choice for inability." An alien counselor tried to interrupt. "Ambassador, the Council asks that humanity cease hostilities immediately. This violence is—" "Where was the Council when our children were murdered?" Na Young's voice cut like a blade. "Where was the Council when our medical personnel were executed while surrendering? Where was the Council when Mordax bragged about his atrocities in this very chamber?" Silence. "You laughed at our pain. You suggested we deserved this for expanding too quickly. You recommended we pay reparations to the beings who slaughtered our people. And now you ask us to stop? Now you demand we show restraint?" "We are concerned this conflict will escalate," another counselor said nervously. "This conflict has already escalated. It escalated when the Vrex killed our innocents. Now you are simply seeing the consequences." The meeting ended with nothing resolved. The Council had no power over humanity. They had never needed power before because humans always cooperated voluntarily. Now they understood the difference between cooperation and submission. Dr. Hannah Bayek remained on the Council station despite the evacuation order. She claimed her research was too valuable to abandon. In truth, she was gathering intelligence. Her contacts among alien scientists were providing information about Vrex movements, supply lines, and defensive capabilities. Krath found her in her laboratory 3 days after the war began. The legendary mercenary looked tired, older somehow. "You should not be here," he said. "This station may become a target." "We do not target civilians," Hannah replied calmly. "Unlike the Vrex. I tried to warn them. I tried to stop this." "We know. We appreciate it. But some lessons can only be learned through experience." Krath sat down heavily. "I need to speak with Captain Tae Yoon. Can you arrange it?" "Why?" "To offer my services, to help end this before it becomes worse." Hannah looked at him with something like pity. "Worse for whom, Krath? This has already become worse. My colleagues are dead. Children are dead. The Council laughed at our pain. There is no ending this until we are finished." "Finished with what? Destroying the Vrex Consortium?" "Finished with teaching the lesson. The galaxy needs to understand what happens when humans are made furious. Not angry, furious. There is a difference." Krath had faced death many times. He had stared into the eyes of creatures bred for killing, machines designed for war, warriors trained from birth for combat. But Hannah's calm certainty frightened him more than any of those. "You are not warriors," he said quietly. "You are scientists, diplomats, peaceful beings. We are whatever we need to be. That is what makes us human." The war continued with brutal efficiency. Human forces struck 17 Vrex installations in 5 days. They destroyed supply lines, eliminated military assets, and captured key positions. The Vrex military, which had seemed powerful, was being systematically dismantled. What terrified other species was not just the military success. It was how the humans fought. They showed no mercy to military targets, But they carefully avoided civilian casualties. They did not torture prisoners. They did not celebrate their victories. They simply executed their mission with cold professionalism. This was not a war of passion. It was a war of purpose. Mordax watched his empire crumbling. His generals brought him reports of losses that seemed impossible. How could merchants and scientists be doing this? Where had they hidden such military power? He sent a desperate message to Krath, offering any price for help. The mercenary's response was simple. I warned you. They are not angry anymore. They are furious. Officer Wu Dai coordinated attacks across 3 sectors simultaneously. He had never done this before, never commanded in real combat. But he had trained for it his entire life, as had every human officer. Earth had never stopped preparing for war, even while preaching peace. Sir, the Vrex forces are retreating to the Kelmar system, Wu Dai reported. They believe they can regroup there behind their defensive network. Show me the Kelmar system, Tae-Yoon ordered. The tactical display showed a heavily fortified system with multiple defensive stations and a fleet of Vrex warships. It looked impregnable. When will the Vrex fleet arrive at Kelmar? Tae-Yoon asked. Approximately 6 hours, sir. Good. That gives our ships time to arrive first. Wu Dai looked up in surprise. Sir, our forces are nowhere near Kelmar. Check again. Task Force 7 was deployed to Kelmar 3 days ago. They have been waiting. The tactical display updated. Human ships appeared in the Kelmar system, already in position. They had predicted the Vrex retreat and prepared for it. The Vrex fleet jumped into Kelmar expecting safety. Instead, they found an ambush. The battle was short and decisive. Half the Vrex fleet was destroyed in the first hour. The rest surrendered. This time, Tae-Yoon accepted the surrender. Not out of mercy, but because he needed someone left alive to spread the word about what happened. Across the galaxy, species watched and whispered. The humans were not showing superior technology or greater numbers. They were showing something far more dangerous. They were showing that they understood war at a level most species had forgotten. Humans did not fight for honor or glory. They fought to win, and they would sacrifice anything, endure anything, to protect their own. A Trell diplomat who had suggested the humans pay reparations now sent a private apology to Ambassador Na Young. She did not respond. The time for apologies had passed. On a remote station, young mercenaries gathered to watch the news. The footage showed human ships moving through space with deadly grace. One young warrior, different from the one who had approached Krath before, spoke up. Perhaps we should reconsider contracts in human space, he said nervously. An older mercenary nodded. Krath tried to warn us. We should have listened. But humans seemed so peaceful, another said. They were peaceful. We mistook peace for weakness. Now we know the truth. Humans do not have warriors and scientists. Every human is both. They are a species that nearly destroyed themselves before they learned to aim their violence outward. In his ship, Krath watched the same broadcasts. He remembered his warning in the bar, the laughter that followed. Nobody was laughing now. The galaxy was learning the lesson he tried to teach them. The most dangerous warrior is not the one who loves fighting. It is the one who hates it, but knows how to do it well. Captain Tae-Yoon looked at the photograph of his sister one more time. Then he put it away and returned to his duties. The war was not over. The lesson was not complete. The Vrex still had their homeworld, and Mordax still lived. Soon, both of those things would change. The human fleet arrived at Vrex Prime like a storm made of steel and fire. 50 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding the planet. The Vrex homeworld had believed itself safe, protected by layers of orbital defenses and a fleet twice the size of the attacking force. Captain Tae-Yoon stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, looking at the planet below. 8 billion Vrex lived on that world. Most were civilians who had nothing to do with Mordax's crimes. This was the test. This was the moment that would define what humanity would become. "Open a channel to the planet," he ordered. The communication systems activated. Every screen on Vrex Prime displayed the same image, a human captain with calm eyes and a cold expression. "People of Vrex Prime, I am Captain Tae Yoon of the Earth Defense Force. You have 6 hours to surrender the individual known as Mordax and every member of his command staff who participated in attacks on human colonies. If you comply, your world will be spared. If you resist, we will show you why humanity nearly destroyed itself before we learned to aim our weapons outward." The Vrex government's response came within minutes. They rejected the demands. Their orbital defenses were the best in the sector. No force could breach them. They called Tae Yoon's threat, empty words meant to frighten them into submission. "They have refused, sir," Wu Dai reported. Tae Yoon nodded slowly. "Target their orbital defense platforms. Fire when ready." The human fleet opened fire. The Vrex expected a long siege, days or weeks of fighting. Instead, their defenses began falling within minutes. Human weapons were not more powerful than Vrex technology, but they were used with devastating precision. Every shot hit a critical point. Every missile found a weak spot in the shields. The Vrex fleet moved to engage. They outnumbered the humans, and their ships were heavily armed. The battle should have favored them. But human ships moved in ways that seemed impossible, coordinating their attacks with perfect timing. They fought as a single organism, each ship supporting the others. When a human ship was damaged, 2 others moved to protect it. When the Vrex concentrated fire on one target, the humans scattered and regrouped instantly. They were not fighting individual duels. They were executing a plan designed weeks ago by strategists who had studied Vrex tactics and prepared counters for everything. Krath watched the battle from his ship, safely distant. But his mind was not on the present fight. He was remembering another battle 10 years ago, the memory he had tried to forget. It had been in the frontier, a lawless region where pirates ruled. Krath had been hired by the Red Star clan, the most powerful pirate group in 3 sectors. The job was simple: protect their base while they raided a transport convoy. The convoy included a human ship. A civilian transport carrying school children on an educational tour of the frontier. The pirates destroyed it for fun, broadcasting the deaths to frighten other species into paying tribute. Krath had not participated in that attack. He was at the base, guarding the pirates' families and treasure. He thought nothing would come of it. Humans would protest to the council, maybe offer a reward for information. That was how civilized species handled such things. He was wrong. 3 days later, a single human warship arrived, the Soul's Vengeance, commanded by Captain Rin Song. The ship was old, a design from Earth's early space age. It looked harmless compared to the pirate fleet of 40 ships. The pirates laughed. They sent their entire fleet to destroy this foolish human who came seeking revenge. Krath watched from the base as the battle began. He expected it to end quickly. Instead, he witnessed something that haunted him still. The human ship moved like a living thing. It was everywhere and nowhere, striking and vanishing, destroying ships with impossible accuracy. The pirates had numbers and firepower. The human had skill and fury. One by one, the pirate ships died. The human vessel was damaged, bleeding air and energy, but it did not stop. It kept fighting even when any reasonable commander would have retreated. It fought with the determination of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. When the last pirate ship exploded, the Soul's Vengeance turned toward the base. Krath stood ready to fight, but he knew it was pointless. He had just watched this human destroy 40 ships. What could one mercenary do? But the human did not attack the base. Instead, Captain Rin Song sent a message. Krath remembered every word. "I have destroyed your fleet. Your warriors are dead. But you still have your families, your homes, your lives. I could take those too. Instead, I offer you a choice. Leave this sector. Abandon piracy. Disappear. If I ever hear of the Red Star clan operating again, I will return. And next time, I will show no mercy. The base evacuated within hours. The pirates scattered across the galaxy, terrified. They had never seen fury like that before. It was not the fury of anger or pride. It was the fury of justice, cold, patient, absolute. But the message that truly frightened the galaxy came next. Captain Rin Song broadcast to every pirate base, every mercenary guild, every slaver operation in 3 sectors. You killed our children. Now every one of you is marked. We will find you. We will hunt you. We will end you. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. Run if you wish. Hide if you can. It won't matter. Over the next 5 years, humanity hunted them all. Every pirate who had been part of that raid, every leader who had ordered it, every ship that had participated. The humans did not forget a single name. They tracked them across the galaxy with patience that seemed inhuman. Krath had watched as pirate clans that had terrorized the frontier for decades simply ceased to exist. Not defeated in battle. Erased. The humans showed no anger, no celebration. They simply removed problems with methodical efficiency. That was when Krath understood the truth about humans. They were not warriors in the traditional sense. Warriors fought for honor, for glory, for the thrill of combat. Humans fought for something deeper. They fought to protect what they loved, and there was no limit to what they would do to achieve that goal. The memory ended as explosions lit up the space around Vrex Prime. The orbital defenses were gone. The Vrex fleet was in ruins. The planet lay defenseless below. "Sir," Wude reported, "the Vrex government is requesting negotiations." "Denied," Tae-Yun said. "They had 6 hours to surrender Mordax. The time has expired." "Sir, if we bombard the planet, millions of civilians will die." Tae-Yun turned to look at his tactical officer. "Do you believe I want that, Wude?" "No, sir." "Do you believe I am capable of that?" Wude hesitated. He had known Tae-Yun for years. The captain was a good man, kind and thoughtful, but the look in his eyes now was something else, something ancient and terrible. "Yes, sir," Wude said quietly. "I believe you are capable of it." Tae-Yun nodded. "Prepare bombardment protocols. Target military and government facilities only. But make sure the Vrex government knows we could target everything if we wished." The first strikes hit military bases on the surface. The second wave destroyed government buildings. The third wave eliminated communication centers. Each strike was precise, but the message was clear. The humans had complete control. Finally, the Vrex government broke. They contacted the Endeavor and offered unconditional surrender. They would hand over Mordax and his command staff. They would accept any terms. "Prepare a boarding team," Tae-Yun ordered. "Lieutenant Hyun Kang, you have operational command." Hyun Kang and his team landed on Vrex Prime 3 hours later. The Vrex military did not resist. They were too broken, too frightened. The humans moved through the capital city toward the government complex where Mordax was hiding. The Vrex leader was found in a secure bunker deep underground. He had surrounded himself with guards and hostages, believing the humans would not risk civilian lives to capture him. Hyun Kang proved him wrong. The strike team used gas to disable the guards, then extracted Mordax within 14 minutes. The hostages were freed unharmed. The guards would wake up with headaches, but nothing worse. Mordax was brought to the Endeavor in chains. The once proud warlord was now a broken being, terrified and confused. He could not understand how his mighty consortium had fallen so completely. He was brought before Captain Tae-Yun. The two beings stood in silence, looking at each other. One was a conqueror who had built an empire on cruelty. The other was a human who had been forced to become something he never wanted to be. You broadcast the execution of surrendering medical personnel, Tae-Yoon said quietly. You killed children. You laughed about human weakness. I was wrong, Mordax begged. Please, I offer you anything. Wealth, territory, information. Spare my life. You should have thought about that before you made humans furious. At that moment, Krath finally secured an audience with Tae-Yoon. The legendary mercenary entered the bridge with Dr. Hana Beck, who had agreed to arrange the meeting. Captain Tae-Yoon, Krath said, I understand your fury. I have witnessed it before. But if you execute Mordax, if you destroy his world, you will prove to the galaxy that humans are the monsters they fear. You will start a war you cannot win, not against the Vrex, but against everyone. Officer Wu Dai stepped forward. With respect, sir, they need to understand that attacking us has consequences. If we show mercy now, they will see it as weakness again. Dr. Hana Beck added, the galaxy must learn this lesson. If we stop now, everything we have sacrificed means nothing. Tae-Yoon looked at each of them. Then he looked at Mordax, trembling in chains. Finally, he looked at the photograph of his sister that he kept in his pocket. I did not want this, he said quietly. I wanted to be an explorer, a scientist. I wanted humanity to be known for our discoveries, our art, our kindness. Instead, I have become what my ancestors were, a warrior, a destroyer. He paused, and the bridge was silent. But I am still human, and humans can choose when to stop. Captain Tae-Yoon made his decision. Mordax and his command staff would face trial, not under Galactic Council law, which had failed humanity so completely, under human military tribunal. The verdict came swiftly after evidence was presented. The massacre of civilians, the execution of surrendering personnel, the broadcast of atrocities designed to terrorize. Guilty on all counts. The punishment was imprisonment for life. Their wealth was seized and distributed to families of victims. They would spend their remaining years in a human prison facility, alive but powerless. Some of Tae-Yoon's officers protested. Death would have been simpler, cleaner, more final. But Tae-Yoon understood something important. Execution would make Mordax a martyr. It would give other species an excuse to fear and hate humanity. Imprisonment demonstrated something more powerful. Humans could stop even when they had absolute power. They could choose mercy even in fury. However, mercy had limits. The Vrex Consortium was dissolved completely. Every military asset was destroyed or confiscated. The Vrex were allowed to keep their homeworld and colonies, but their ability to threaten others was eliminated. Their fleet was reduced to small defensive vessels. Their weapons factories were shut down. Most significantly, reparations would be paid for 100 years. Not to governments, but directly to the families who lost loved ones. Every child who lost parents. Every parent who lost children. They would receive compensation from Vrex resources, and the territory where the attacks occurred became permanent human territory. New Busan, Hope Station, and Terra Verde were rebuilt with massive memorial stations. The names of every person killed were carved in stone and metal that would last millennia. The galaxy watched as humanity enforced these terms with absolute certainty. When a Vrex admiral tried to hide weapons in violation of the treaty, human forces arrived within hours and destroyed them. When Vrex politicians tried to avoid payments, human accountants tracked every credit and ensured compliance. The message was clear. Humanity could be merciful, but they would not be fooled twice. Krath requested an audience with the full Galactic Council. His reputation was such that they could not refuse. The legendary mercenary stood before representatives of every major species and shared his story, both the recent events and his memory from 10 years ago. I have fought across this galaxy for 50 years, Krath began. I have battled Velkari honor warriors who would die before retreating. I have faced Kron Hive soldiers who feel no pain. I have stood against Thek's war machines that process tactics faster than organic minds. I have never feared any of them." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But I fear humans when they are furious. Not because they are the strongest. They are not. Not because they have the best weapons. They do not. I fear them because when you threaten what they love, they become absolutely relentless. They will sacrifice everything to protect their own, and they never, ever forget." A Trell counselor, the same one who had suggested humans pay reparations, spoke up nervously. "But surely they can be reasoned with. Surely diplomacy." "You had 70 years to reason with them," Krath interrupted. 70 years when they chose peace and cooperation. They showed you their best qualities. You mistook that choice for weakness. When they needed you, when their innocents were slaughtered, you laughed and suggested they deserved it." The council chamber was silent. "Humans are capable of extraordinary kindness," Krath continued. "They will share their knowledge, their culture, their resources. They will be your friends, your allies, your partners. They are among the most peaceful species I have encountered. But if you harm their innocent, if you threaten their children, if you make them furious, you will learn why they nearly destroyed themselves before they learned to aim their weapons outward." Another counselor asked, "What would you have us do?" "Remember this lesson. Never mistake peace for weakness. Never assume that beings who choose kindness are incapable of violence, and most importantly, never make humans furious." Ambassador Na Young stood to address the council. Her statement was measured, but every word carried weight. "For 70 years we chose peace. We chose diplomacy. We showed you the best of humanity. Our curiosity, our creativity, our capacity for cooperation. You mistook that choice for weakness. You believed we were soft because we were kind, gentle because we were patient." She looked at each counselor in turn. "Let me be clear. We are warriors who chose to be scientists. We are predators who chose to be protectors. We are destroyers who chose to be builders. But we remain all of those things. The galaxy may debate whether humans belong among the stars. After today, there is no debate. We are here, and we will protect our place in it." The council session ended with a new understanding. Trade agreements were renegotiated with more favorable terms for humanity. Species that had ignored human concerns now sought human friendship. The shift was not born of love, but of respect, earned through strength. The human military returned to the shadows. Warships resumed their disguises as exploration vessels. Soldiers became scientists and engineers again. But everyone now knew what lay beneath that peaceful surface. The galaxy would not forget. 10 years passed. The memorial stations became places of pilgrimage, visited by both humans and aliens. The names of the dead were never forgotten. Among the visitors was an elderly Vrex civilian named Karth. He came every year to pay respects at the memorial on Hope Station. During the war, he had been infected with a deadly plague. Human medical personnel had saved his life, working tirelessly even as the Vrex military threatened them. Some of those same medical personnel were later executed by Mordax's forces. Karth brought flowers to their memorial. It was a small gesture, but it represented something important. Even after everything, bridges could be rebuilt. Understanding could grow. But it required remembering the cost of hatred. Captain Tae Yoon, now promoted to admiral, visited his sister's memorial. Dr. Hana Beck accompanied him, now serving as humanity's chief xenodiplomat. Officer Wu Day, who had lost his own sister in the attacks, commanded the endeavor now. They stood in silence, each remembering. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Hana asked quietly. "Showing mercy when we had the power to destroy them completely?" Tae Yoon considered the question. "I think we did the human thing. We showed them our fury, so they would never forget. But we also showed them our restraint, so they would know we are not monsters. Some species still fear us? Let them. Fear based on respect is better than contempt based on ignorance. In the distance, Krath watched them. The legendary mercenary had become an unexpected friend to humanity. He now served as an advisor on interspecies relations, helping others understand what humans were truly capable of. A young alien approached him, a different species than the one in the bar years ago, but asking a similar question. "Great, Krath, I am offered a contract, good money. The target is a human mining operation that—" "No," Krath said immediately. "But you have not heard the details. The humans have encroached on—" "No. If you value your life, your clan, your entire species, you will reject any contract against humans, especially their civilians." The young mercenary looked confused. "But they are peaceful now. The war was 10 years ago." Krath stood up, his full height still terrifying even in his old age. "They are peaceful because they choose to be. There is a difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. The humans taught that lesson to the Vrex. They can teach it again if necessary." He pointed to the memorial station, visible through the window. "See those names? Every one of them is remembered. The humans do not forget their dead. They do not forgive those who kill their innocents. The Vrex learned this lesson. Do not make your species learn it too." The young mercenary left quickly, his contract rejected. Krath sat back down and continued his drink. He was old now, too old for fighting. But he still had one duty: to ensure the galaxy remembered, to ensure no one made the same mistake the Vrex made. Another group of mercenaries sat at a nearby table discussing contracts. One mentioned a human target. The others immediately shut down the conversation. "Never make humans furious," one said. "Why not? They seem so peaceful," asked a newcomer who had recently arrived from a distant sector. The mercenaries all turned to look at him with a mixture of pity and disbelief. "Let me tell you about the Vrex Consortium," one began. "They were the most powerful criminal organization in 3 sectors. They thought humans were weak because they were kind. They attacked human colonies, killed thousands, broadcast their atrocities across the galaxy." "What happened to them?" the newcomer asked. "They do not exist anymore. Not defeated. Erased. The humans hunted down every leader, destroyed every ship, eliminated every base. They did it in 3 weeks. The Vrex homeworld still exists, but only because the humans chose to spare it. But that was years ago. Surely humans do not forget. Their history is filled with wars that lasted generations. They have a saying, 'Revenge is a dish best served cold.' They are patient. They can wait decades, centuries even, to settle a debt." The newcomer looked nervous. "So we avoid human contracts?" "We avoid anything that might make them furious. We can work with them, trade with them, even fight alongside them. But we never threaten their innocence, never attack their families, never make them choose between peace and protecting their own." "Because they will always choose their own," another mercenary added. "Every time. Without hesitation." Krath listened to the conversation and nodded with satisfaction. The lesson was being passed on. New generations were learning what he tried to teach so many years ago. Ambassador Na Young gave a speech at the council on the 10th anniversary of the war. She spoke about peace, cooperation, and the future. But she ended with words that echoed Krath's warning. Humanity has returned to being your partners, your friends, your allies. We share our knowledge freely once more. We help rebuild, we explore, we discover. We have chosen peace again. But remember that it is a choice. We could choose differently if provoked. We hope we never have to make that choice again. But we will if necessary. The galaxy had peace. Not because humanity demanded it, but because others chose it. They had learned that humans were not weak. They were restrained. There was a difference. And everyone now understood the most important lesson: never make humans furious. Krath spent his final years ensuring this lesson was never forgotten. He wrote a book about his experiences, taught young mercenaries about respecting human boundaries, and served as a bridge between species. When he died at a very old age, humans gave him a memorial alongside their own fallen. The inscription read, "Krath, who tried to warn them. A warrior who understood what others could not. May his wisdom guide future generations." The galaxy moved forward. Humans remained part of the galactic community, contributing their talents and helping others. They built, they discovered, they created. They were known once again for their kindness and their genius. But every species, every government, every leader remembered the lesson. It was taught in military academies and diplomatic schools. It was passed from generation to generation. Humans are capable of extraordinary kindness. They will be your friends and allies. They will share everything they have. They are among the most peaceful species in the galaxy. But if you harm their innocent, if you threaten their children, if you make them furious, you will discover why their own history is written in blood. You will learn why they nearly destroyed themselves before they reached the stars. And you will understand that humanity's greatest mercy is that they usually choose not to show you what they are truly capable of. Usually,